We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such. I know y'all tired of it, but we got a new season of The Past. Welcome to season 8, the Mamba Year. Podcast available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of your podcast platforms. Here you'll get a dose of content related to tech, the productivity world, and most importantly, how to be a better you. The theme for this year, personally, is receiving grace. And we definitely want to do better with receiving it and being open to being a better us from who we were a year ago. So this is season 8 of The Past, and I hope you all enjoy.
You have another walk in the building. What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's up? What's up? Normally, you get a 1 week. You get once a week, and that's it. But today, you're getting a second one, and it's only because. So my initial intention was to get up, go to the truck, since I've now found like a new love and passion for walking the track in the morning, especially if it's a work from home day. However, instead, go to my normal spot, do my walk, and then come on back. But man, it's the infamous age-old phrase, what a difference a day makes. Um, things have been decent. Life has been decent. I've been trying to maintain my, for lack of a better term, maintain my decency and no BS. Stay off the grid, man. Sometimes it can be a lot more challenging than we realize. Sorry, y'all. I know that was like super loud, but fighting whatever's sitting up there. But yeah, man, that might be our topic today. Is the battle of the grid. When to be on the grid and when to be off the grid. And for a lot of us, we become too quote unquote on the grid and in the know. And I believe I talked about this a little bit yesterday in my walk, but we're now hitting a point where social media is trying to find a way to get the consumer to profit. But there's a catch. Everything's about engagements and impressions. People didn't care about half of this stuff at all. They would post something and keep it moving. Now, the investment is going into, if I share this post or I share this message, how many people are going to, 1, like it, 2, comment, and 3, most importantly, share it. Some things are shareable. Some things just should not be shared. There is a like page that I am currently following now. I'm not sure if I'm actually friends with the individual, but I'm on this page, and all I'm going to say is it is the 100% definition of not safe for work. And sometimes you're like, it's fine, and it's, that's what you are down for, all well and good, but it's it's almost as though folks are getting more courageous on where and how to share information. And again, good thing, bad thing, prefer to, not prefer to, it's no matter how you want to move the needle, but it's all jokes aside, it is gotten and or it's getting out of hand. And it makes the consumption that much harder. And it goes back to what I just mentioned of learning or being or trying to go off the grid or trying to, if you will, decompress. It's hard to decompress from platforms that are hardwired to keep you attached. People have heard me talk about this so much. It's it's challenging to be told, or not even be told, but to consider the option of digital detox or unplugging when folks who don't know or don't care that you're unplugging are just sharing things back to back to back to back to back. On my personal faith, you're unplugging and you have someone who is too plugged in. Plugging is so much fun. So I never noticed that. Never noticed that. Um, Plugged in so much that they don't realize that others around them need the unplug. And at times it can be a huge hit on the mental, whether we know it or not. I ain't did one in a while, but I'll do one today. We could do us a quick fast five check-in just to see how the mental, personal, and professional is holding up today. And I gotta admit, it's not been the best, but it ain't been the worst. I'm not, I'm not leaning on the everlasting. I'm not down in the dumps. Before anybody asks, no, the world is not coming to an end. But I'm maintaining. One of my biggest takeaways is that I've found lately that my connections are my connections. And why I say that, or what I mean by that is everyone in my life does not have the same, everyone thinks they have the same access to me, which in some theory they do. However, just because you have that access, having access versus using access are two different things. And in many instances, folks by nature are going to do what they can to quote unquote be available. But sometimes their availability is not the availability you need. And before anybody thinks it, before anybody jumps the gun, this is not subliminal. This is not about me. This is not throwing shade. This is not putting nobody on blast. This is just a general dialogue and open conversation. Because one thing that has been very clear, to kind of go off track a little bit, is everyone has some sort or some form of a guilty conscience. And the minute you are addressing something or sharing something or talking about something, the first question turns to, oh, that's something that you experienced. Or the person who reads it goes into, is that message, is that about something that we got going on? Is everything good with us? And it's like, if you got the right folks around you, social media should not be the questioning source of your friendship or your relationship with anybody. As much as I use them, as much as I'm connected to them, as much as I utilize them, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok do not have me in as much of a chokehold as it does other people. And some folks would look at that and say, I don't believe you. And I'm like, you don't have to believe me. Like I made, now this is about me, but I've made some very drastic changes to my page in the most simple manners of just restricting a lot of people's content, unfollowing a lot of people. And it's so crazy because it's something that no one would ever think of doing, but you can be friends with someone and unfollow them and really be limited to seeing anything that they post. And they'll never know. And sometimes you need that to properly function in your life as well as they can properly function in their life. And from a secret, anonymous way, it's a win-win. But many times we don't, we're not seeing things for what it is because we see what we choose to see instead of seeing like the, dare I say, the bigger picture. So yeah, like the grid, man, like I really, it's, it's a challenging line and it's a challenging space to address only because if you really think about it, many people push via the grid. If you have a book and your book has the potential possibility to be a bestseller, it's gonna be online. No one's going to now. Let me backtrack. We are still in the space and in the world of physical stores to purchase books. And we're in the space of physical venues to rent books or, request books as necessary. And sometimes we don't see how value, valuable that can be. But in the long haul, it's really, 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 really resourceful in how we are able to move and or operate through our day to day with businesses. There's a known, I guess you can call him a public figure. I've been keeping up with him probably for the last 3 or 4 years. And he is, it's like, it's like a double-edged sword of I'm against social media. I use YouTube or I, I push my product via YouTube, which again, nothing wrong with that. I'm just realizing this is super random, but I've been doing the walks at, when I don't do the walk at the track, I come over to the tennis court. And when I walk the tennis court, I actually walk the distance of the actual tennis court. Well, today, we're going to widen this out a little bit and use the full fenced off area, see if there's a difference. Maybe, may not be, but who knows? Um, but yeah, people gonna get what they gotta get out there to people. And sometimes it is that balance of an imbalance between being on the grid and being off the grid. Uh, but all over the place, ignore the grid. We talked about the grid, but I want to do a quick fat five. So mentally we are at about a 7. Now, fair warning, by the time you all hear this, it will be July. So these will have already been like, this will be the reflection of this kind of like the current assessment and also just the reflection of June in a sense. But mental is a 7. Personal is personal is about a 5. There's so much going on that it's not even that I don't want to talk about it. It's just a lot going on, plain and simple. Um, and it's not even a whole, but I'm navigating through it and it's all gonna work out. It's just having to deal with it in general is a lot, as expected. It comes with the territory. Um, professional, professional, believe it or not, is at an 8, only because there's I'm in the midst of a pivot, as well as fingers crossed, I may have a finishing stature with something that I'm working on, which I am pretty excited about, because it's been like the battle of all battles, and it's tough to accomplish, but I may have to, for the sake of the report. I'm not like, no one knows what it's about, so it wouldn't really matter. But I may need to add notes so people understand what's being done or how it works to get what needs to be done accomplished. Um, so I'm working with that, and it's been a journey. It's really been a journey. By far, it's been a journey. Uh, is this inside of a tennis ball? No, it's not. Ain't no way to look pellets inside a tennis ball. I could be wrong. I don't know. I've never personally opened one, so I can't say. Um, creative. Ooh, creative gets tricky, and here's why. Normally, whenever I grade creativity or creative, I'm always looking at. I'm always going to the just the web and graphic side of it, which has been hot garbage. I'm not gonna finagle it and not gonna fake it, but in the process, I'm ignoring the uploads on Instagram, the uploads on Facebook, the videos on TikTok, the podcast. Obviously, you're listening to one now. Um, a lot of people shoot the newsletter. Like, it's funny, and I need to. This is one of the few times I wish I remember to go back and fully edit a podcast for the walk. But um, so this is one of the few times that I need a bookmark or a marker to just say that it's ironic yet full circle that a group that I follow called Space Time Productivity has talked about how anyone that's a creative should do a newsletter. And my newsletter story is still as baffling, but it's still amazing because somehow I've kept it going for the last 6 months actually. So every Sunday at 9, I've been keeping a weekly newsletter, and all things considered, the newsletter goes up every Sunday. This past Sunday, I think there's a lot going on with Saturday, and I really didn't think to pull out my laptop and like actually write. So by the time I was really wanting to work on it, they was gone. I wasn't gonna force a newsletter, just throw one up there. So I have a topic that I've already talked about, not on not on the newsletter, but had conversations about in so many words that I'm going to utilize as an opportunity to address the thought bubble that was, experienced at the time. Um, I just realized. Okay, now some stuff cooking now. Like I'm on board now. Because I've been sitting here. This is random to y'all, but relevant to me. I've been sitting here trying to figure out. It was something that I attended a few days ago, and I was trying to find a sign from somewhere I went, and I couldn't find the picture. But I'm like, I know I took this picture, but I have my timeline wrong as to when the picture was taken, which I was under the impression it was last year. But the reality was it was likely the year before last. So I need to do some research on that and look that up once I'm done. Um, but it's one of those things. But I'm only sharing it because it's relevant to what I want to write about. So because of that missed opportunity, my readers will get 2 letters this week. They're both going to go up at 9 o'clock, and they both should be good topics to make people think a little deeper, work a little harder on betterment. But all that being said, newsletter's still going. Um, so yeah, with all those factors outside of the designing part, I know that was like a long tangent, but uh, I'd say creativity is about a 6.3. So it's a low 6 because there's moments and opportunities that I'm always looking at and thinking, man, this would be a great time to like really crack open some of the web stuff that I'm doing or business ideas. Like even seeing the conversation come up about the newsletter made me think about the simple fact that one thing that I stopped doing that I think, and this is, if you hear this and you use it, I don't even care because it's 2024, still like an artist. Just leave it at that. But all that being said, you will, in many instances, people will put up like use newsletters to like actually write stuff down. But maybe newsletters might be an opportunity for me to do some graphical work, maybe an opportunity to do some actual mock-ups for newsletters. There are like a wide variety of things and opportunities that can be done with the newsletter. It just comes down to being creative enough to get it out of my brain on paper, or as I share with many of my friends on wax, as I record every. To you all, it's not a big deal, but to me personally, it is. But each of these recordings that I do are a source or a form of on wax that can go back and listen to it anytime. Um, Random fact that many people don't know: if you decide to stop paying or cancel a subscription for a podcast still remains online. The RSS feed still remains online. It just won't have an owner. Now, I'm not sure the length of time it stays online, but it can be found online. I have, in fact, found many podcasters who have no longer done shows, and their shows are still online to go back and listen to. Which every time I think about that, it, it circles me back to wondering where those first couple of episodes are when I did Sprite podcast. The only problem is I think at the time I might be wrong, but I had a free account. So I was pretty limited to how I could share and upload online with Spreaker at the time. If I remember right, I don't even think you can. I don't even remember sharing those shows. That's how bad it was. Um, but I still recall them being recorded. So there was like my first. It was at least like 5 or 6 shows. They were probably the rawest edit and the most, weirdly enough, the most controlled chaos I had because I mean it was my show, it was my flow, it was my style, but it was very it was very Brian. I'll say it that way. Like it made sense the the final slash finished product, but it was literally just noticing how intense it would get when I was in like my, as I call it, my infancy stages of podcasting. Like people who hear and have heard my podcast, they just hear the finished product. No one has heard when I've gotten to the library and forgot something. No one's heard I've when I've had guests come, like me waiting for a guest to come on and they're not there, but I also know I got to start the show. And then eventually they come in and you don't even know they came in. Like there's so many behind the scenes that aren't seen. But even more interesting is even if you have video to save that information, there's not enough video to show you the ins and outs of like what people go through with podcasts. Like, sure, I could put my phone on on the tripod that I got, do a selfie stick, and walk you through the process of prepping and carrying everything. But people would still look at it and say, "I didn't know you had that much stuff when you go to the library." And I'm like, I need everything that I have. Like if I go in, headset, I mean sorry, headset, headphones, microphone accessories, meaning like the stand, the podium, the filter, all of that, uh, the holder for the mic, uh, the interface to hear the to hear the podcast, or to get audio feedback, or for it to even record, the adapter. Like I've one time brought everything for the podcast, and then the actual it's an adapter that has to be plugged into the headphones to hear myself when I'm recording. If I leave that at home, the show gonna sound great, but I ain't gonna know what I sounded like because I can't hear it. Um, Thinking back on it, I should have borrowed an extra one from my boy because then I'll have like an extra one just in case. Like, oh shoot, I don't have one. Let me make sure I keep one in the bag. Things like that. Uh, Background noise, of course. Almost doing like sound tests. Like I've done shows now so frequently. When I have guests on, it's a little different. But if it's just me, I just set up and go. I don't even spend a lot of time trying to do like audio tests and checks and all that because I done did it enough time. If it ain't been done right by this point, it's a me thing. Um, but off track, off topic a little bit. My bad. Uh, yeah, creative has been fluctuating, but we're getting back to it. And the one word feeling. My bad. I spent like at least 5 or 10 minutes on that, but it's a thought process. You know how it go. You've been listening to my walkcast. None of this should be new to you. Um, feeling, feeling is all relevant to now. Tired. I'm very tired. So much so that I have been doing my damnedest to not think of the fact that I'm burned out. Like last Friday, I took off, and it was almost like it was a quietly kept off, like a quietly day off, a quiet way to take a day off, I guess you could say. And I really didn't do anything extravagant. I stayed way off the grid. I truly minded my business. Um, I realized after the fact, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I set up a lot of stuff to like remember to take time off or whatever, but I don't really do auto replies for emails. And I never thought about it until recently when it's like people take time off, which, understandably so. And I'm sitting there like, I don't even put in like, hey, I'm going to be out the office on this day. Granted, it was a Friday. Friday, nothing really stressing or nothing going on. But soon I know I'm experiencing it when I go out for a week and making sure, people are aware. But burnout, man, I don't care what nobody say. Be aware and acknowledge your feelings, good or bad, because you could be functioning like everything is great, but deep down you are cooked. And I don't even like to. I use that term loosely and I jokingly say it a lot of times, but the reality is there are many instances that I am just like functioning through the navigation of not trying to, literally not trying to lose my shit. And it comes back to the obvious of people around you care, but it's it's just me trying my damnedest to not have a meltdown because, fam, it's been some days, it's been some points that I've really wanted to just, for lack of a better term, throw in the towel. Um, Life personally has not worked with putting me in that position. Like I'm still gonna keep fighting, but it's those times when and you can feel it. Taking it even a step further, I listened to. I was thinking about something where they made the reference like, you gotta do stuff like the rent money do, and I was like, it's a good point. Sometimes you need that extra push to like put you to and or over the limit. And my push has been kind of mediocre, but lately I'm learning to break out of that pattern, out of that habit. It's been rough. The whole time I've been doing this walk, never paid any attention. Um, but a lot of times I write code like the rent money ain't due. A lot of times I handle my business like the rent money ain't due, and I gotta get away from that mindset and get back to like I gotta put this shit in, put this shit on so I can make this shit happen. And whatever that looks like and whatever it takes is just how to do it. Um, there are some, for lack of a better term, there are some mental transitions that are coming or are showing up lately where I'm not as valuable or resourceful to people. I know some people are going to hear that and say, well, what do you mean by that? Or what does that insinuate? But the truth is, I have, even as much as I hate teams, this is going to make sense. There have been times that my mindset has been unavailable offline. We'll start there. But in the physical presence, I've made people portray it as I'm available. And mentally, I am not. It's no benefit. This is about to be a bar without being a bar. It's no benefit being available to others who aren't available to you. we will do everything in our power to expand our availability to people who do not care about our well-being. Like folks right now have been on my guarded, not hitting me up list, but was hitting me up a while back. And I've paid attention to the dynamics in that. And like I said, it's cool. Do what you do. But trust me, the inventory is evident. I'm paying attention. I'm really paying attention. So that's what I got. That's the Fab Five, and that's the grid. If you need to be off the grid, get off the grid. Don't feel compelled or feel obligated to have to share everything. If you're a part of the content creator, not literally, this is not what it's called. Don't come for me, but if you're a part of the content creators club, continue creating content, but don't let the content bombard you. Don't feel, don't stress yourself with numbers that can be a little rough around the edges to reach, but are manageable if you know how to operate in those numbers or in that number game. You know, I'm gonna leave y'all with this, and this is a reminder to myself. Find those small ways to give yourself the opportunity to breathe. I have learned in doing these mobile stretches, mobility stretch workouts between my weekly gym sessions, between life, between the ups and downs of everything. Breathing goes a very long way. And at times, as humans, it's not that we aren't breathing like we need to, but we're not breathing when we need to. And saying that applies to the simplest and most mundane things in our day to day. For instance, if you're stretching, the worst thing to do is not breathe. My friend who is my trainer, he's a living witness to it. I'm looking to get him on the show soon. It'll probably be in August, maybe September, I don't know yet, but he's a true witness to this. When I first started going to the gym, I would literally stretch or do different workouts, and I did not remotely want to or try to breathe. And what would happen is, as the activity gets a little more intense, I'm sitting there gasping for air, literally trying to find my life. And the reality is, all that can be avoided. I just breathe. Breathe and drink water. Drink water. Hear me out. I love me a good soda, a good little drink here and there. This Italian, um, it was like Italian special like type of drink. It was Italian margarita. That's what it's called. Definitely tasted every bit of it, and I was like, "Yep, one and done." But all that being said, get your water in, man. Listen. People can hate all they want on Stanley. You can hate on any brand you want. Pick your poison. But what I'm gonna say, what I'm gonna preach is find your container that's in your budget that fits your style. Use that container and drink water. Don't matter if it's tap water, it don't matter if it's bottled water, it don't matter if it's purified filtered water, whatever. Drink more water. And lately I've been learning more and more how resource it has been to just get a jug of water and just rock it out. And the funny thing is, not many people know this. There was one point I barely would drink water compared to how I drink water now. Like now, you can't keep me away from like a good jug or a good container. Like I think I've got at least. I'm tempted to say it's at least 4 or 5 different jugs or containers to hold water, but I use them all like at some point or in moderation, if you want to say it that way. Um, I'm a big component on just getting your proper water intake and giving your body the opportunity to flush itself out, to reset. Oh, I timed that perfect. So this time out here, the ending fence, right, not the beginning fence. But you have rocked with me for a good 40+ minute walk, and I'm going to close out again by just reminding you all, check in with yourselves, think of your Fab Five. Again, if you've never done that before, I won't, I'm probably not going to remember to leave it on there, but I'll try to put a mental note of, uh, checking in with your Fab Five. What's your mental, where you at mentally, where you at personally, where you at professionally, where you at creatively. All on a scale from, if you want to, you can do 1 to 10, you can do 0 to 10. It doesn't matter. If you're 0, you're 0. It's okay. But 1 means you're at least trying. You're at least in the beginning state. But 1 to 10 or 0 to 10, and a feeling. On Google, just look up feelings wheel. There are different ones. They all pretty much function and work in the same capacity. The one that I've grown to love is by Calm, and I think I only like it because it's a calmer look, literally. The other ones are a little more like in your face, which is nothing wrong with that, but sometimes you need something a little like to kind of scale it back a little bit. So, um, find your flow, find your style for that, and if you need to, and if you deem necessary, get off the grid. It's okay. You're not gonna miss anything. I think sometimes we're so hard bound and so wired to think of it as we gotta know it all and we gotta keep up with it all, but sometimes we don't. And don't feel, oh, stay hydrated. And I'm saying stay hydrated for 2 reasons. One, summertime. Again, I'm in VA, so VA, yeah, we get heat. Like we yesterday was 100 degrees. But my folks that's in Texas, my folks that's in Vegas, my folks on the West Coast, anybody that's in like very humid states or humid areas, stay hydrated. And if that plane just dominated everything I just said, then maybe I just wanted to say it. But by all means, man, please stay hydrated. Like, give yourself the opportunity and give yourself the space to like just breathe and stay hydrated. But stay hydrated because of the heat, but most importantly, stay hydrated because your body needs it, and whether you look at it as such. And this is a good thing that I've been reminded of from time to time is like your body, for lack of a better term, is a plant. So if you don't water your plant, then it won't grow. And that's what I've been being reminded of more frequently now. 100% transparency, and most of my friends know this, and I ain't got no knock against it. I'm 5 million% far from being vegan, but I love and respect the whole vegan flow, vegan vibes. However, I also know that I'm very, and it's a mixed bag. You got a vegan, you also have pescatarian, so it's like mixing and matching and just trying to find like what's gonna be that healthy sweet spot. But I think personally, it just comes down to you taking care of you and putting your body in a better position than it was the day before. Um, so that's what I got, man. Y'all have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Truly hope you all enjoyed the show. Definitely was a lot to unpack.
but I know you'll walk away with something important. As I share at the end of each season, do find your way to get into podcasting if it's something you would like to do. My podcasts are currently recorded via Buzzsprout. Been very good to me. If you want to learn more about using them, definitely hit me up at thepastbtpod@gmail.com. And also the microphone that you're hearing me on is the Blue Yeti X. Have been rolling with it for over 3 years. We've been doing this ride for quite some time, so I hope someone could find this mic useful. Again, find those people who are good or helpful in what you're trying to do to be better today than you were yesterday. The primary goal is to be 1% better. Hope you all have an amazing day, and we'll be back again to do this next time.